Welcome to the Oracle Scroll. My name is Kevin Walder, and I am your host, and I invite you to join my guests and myself as we discuss all things metaphysical. Welcome back to episode 5 of the Oracle Scroll. Today we're going to get better acquainted with the Empress, the mother figure in the deck. And then we're going to talk about but. No, not that one. The 3-letter but, and how it changes everything we say. And finally, we are going to answer a question from a member of the audience. So join us as we begin with the Empress. The Empress is a powerful card representing nurturing and growth, fertility, and motherhood. It is always a timely card as it admonishes us that the seeds we plant now will become our harvest in the coming months. As one of the major arcana cards, the Empress stands for feminine power in a way that the queens in the deck can only aspire to emulate. As I like to say, the queens bow to the Empress. While the queens may be concerned with the drama and intrigue of court, the Empress is above such trivial concerns. Though, while representing such power, she is the quintessential mother, the one who is nurturing and caring, but a firm parent. The Empress is often depicted as pregnant and engaged in some domestic pursuit, as in the Robin Hood deck with the spinning wheel. This indicates her fertility and willingness and drive to do whatever is required of her to take care of her children and her subjects. The Empress does not wait to be asked for her assistance. She is that wonderful neighbor who just shows up with homemade food when she knows you have experienced a challenge. The Empress is feminine energy and very intuitive in her approach. But, since we all, male and female, have the capacity to act in this fashion and fulfill this energetic signature, she is not exclusively female. In our modern society, we often see men fulfilling the nurturing role of the Empress, and doing it well. When I see the Empress appear in a spread, it is an indication that the querent has a great deal of support and backing for their endeavors, far beyond what they may be experiencing or even beyond what they feel they deserve. The Empress can indicate that the individual is being the nurturer for someone they love deeply, assisting in ways the other person would never ask, but delivering beyond what is expected. Whether giving or receiving, she is a very positive influence, and one which can be appreciated by nearly every seeker. This card can also indicate that the querent is being so supportive of others that they are failing to take good care of themselves, leading them to feel depleted and exhausted. The advice of this card is often to remember to look after ourselves so that we are better able to look after others. Sometimes we forget that we deserve our own compassion as much as anyone else. And it is not selfishness when we choose to take responsibility for our own well-being. There's a great deal of joy depicted in the Empress card. She does not resent her tasks, but regards them as her privilege. She does not seek recognition for her work. She is content with knowing she has done her best for all concerned. Her joy is quite contagious, and she can lift spirits with her beaming smile. So the 3 questions that the Empress poses to us: who is playing the role of the Empress in your life? Have you ever experienced the joy of playing that role of Empress for someone you love? And finally, how will the spirit of the Empress affect your planning and planting. And the preceding was lifted directly from my book, Tarot for Lunch, Lessons from the Cards, which is available in both paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com. And as we've been doing in this series, taking it one step further and getting even more in depth with the Empress, I had written a letter as if written by a mother to her children. And this is the Empress. Her letter says, "To all Earth's children, I'll bet you weren't expecting to hear from your mother today, but I have been thinking so much about all of you and how much you mean to me, and hopefully to each other as well. Then I decided I should send you something by which to remember me. Since before the birth of this earth as we know it, I have been the force behind creation and fertility. Whether you are soaring high above this earth, or swimming in the vast waterways, or walking or even slithering about on the surface of her, or even if you are part of the vegetation which adorns her, this earth is your home, and you are all related through me. This is why it is so difficult for me to watch any of you take advantage of or hurt one another. You are all siblings through my power and of my body. I have nurtured each of you from conception to birth and beyond. With each new beginning you experience in your life, I share in that birth with you. None of you have ever had anything occur in your lives that I have not already blessed and smiled as you opened to new possibilities. I am unconditional love personified. I am here to teach and nurture your development. I am here to support and comfort you when things become difficult, and to help you transform a challenge into a victory. I will never stop helping until the time you decide you will no longer accept my help. And even then, you'll still hear from me. What is this existence like for me? Well, it seems that I have been pregnant with possibilities my entire life. And through that gestation, I know that no matter what the challenges, no matter how the offspring may look to others, no matter how appreciative the offspring turns out to be, I will love and care for all my children the same. No one is more important than any other, which also means that you must treat your siblings, all of them, as part of yourself. As your mother, there are aspects of me that you would prefer not to think about, but in order to understand me fully, you need to know. Being the life giver and seemingly perpetually pregnant means that I am also very sensuous and sexual. So my unconditional love can take on an erotic aspect as well. And that is an inherent part of my being. This gives me a great deal of empathy and understanding of your own conditions and life choices. This brings me to my planetary attribution, which is Venus, a very sensual influence, which, combined with my elemental attribution of Earth, tends to define my entire existence, and of course my energy is feminine. Part of my sensuality allows me to truly feel all of your emotions, even before you're fully aware of them. In some systems, I am associated with the Hebrew letter Daleth, which means door, and with the rune Thorn, which means thunder, or sometimes door. If you think about who I am and how I am the conduit through which things come into being, the meaning of door is quite appropriate. I stand open and ready to assist in any way I can to make the new become the accepted reality. Not all of my births are in the physical. Sometimes I am the midwife assisting in the birth of a grandchild. I am also the force which brings into being all your new concepts and ideas. When you feel your heart race at the thought of a new idea which has been on your mind for a few days, well, that's just me. That's my influence assisting you in pulling that new idea into the reality of the day. And when it does come about, we can share that joy. It's a joy of birth. And when it doesn't turn out the way you had hoped, I'm there to comfort, console, encourage you to regroup and try again. I do have one thing which is a weakness for me, and that is that my need to be involved and available for everyone sometimes causes me to lose track of my own needs. I talk about my sexual nature earlier, but I have all the same needs you as my children have, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. There are moments when I fail to regard my own needs as just as important as all of your needs, which leaves me depleted and weak. So, I often have to remind myself that I am no good to anyone if I haven't taken the time and the effort to see to my own well-being. Sometimes, something else I want to address are the inevitable comparisons between myself and other feminine members of the deck. I think we can see the obvious difference in attitude between myself and the High Priestess. We can't all be touchy-feely. But what about the queens in the deck? Aren't any of them similar to me? If any of the queens were to be like me in any way, it would be a loose combination of aspects of the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Coins. I don't feel any affinity with the other two at all, but none of the queens come close to being in my league. They are all too involved in the intrigues of court and their own self-preservation to be truly immersed in the needs of their children. They all have their own role to play in the story of life, but please, don't compare me to any of them. I have written this letter to convey my love and to help each of you understand your mother a little better. I know sometimes it feels like I'm meddling in everything you set out to do, but I hope you can see now that that is just my job. And I love my job. I love my job so much I won't let anyone else interfere with my doing it. Not even you. So whether you are part of the vegetation surrounding us, winging your way above the trees, swimming in the waves and currents, slithering on the ground, or using any number of legs to move around this glorious earth, this is a reminder of your mother's love. Please love each other and me as you honor the commitment I make every day to your well-being. With love, your mother, the Empress. In the second part of our podcast, we take on a subject of general interest spiritually and discuss it at some length. And today, I'm referring back to an article I wrote a while ago entitled But. B-U-T, the single T at the end. It's just the word but. And if we listen to any newscast of any sort or any political discussion of any sort, you're going to hear that word a bunch of times. And basically, if you think about what that word does, it pretty much negates everything that was said prior to the insertion of the word but. So the article addresses that and how it affects the way we speak to and about each other, or anything else for that matter. I agree with you completely, but... I am not homophobic, but... I agree with everything he or she stands for, but... ... Oh, and my very, very favorite personal one. You seem like a nice person, but... ... Sentences and phrases like these appear all over our social media platforms and our feeds. We have become so accustomed to this kind of double speak that we fail to recognize the true power of a tiny three-letter word, but. Look again at the opening lines of this article and notice the role that the word but plays in each situation. The word but serves to divide and separate the first phrase of the sentence from whatever may follow. It also completely negates the opening phrase by interjecting an exception to the original statement. The word but allows us to attempt to fool those around us and, even ourselves sometimes, into believing that we are taking the moral high ground while we're still clinging to the systemic bigotry that a lot of us still carry. This little three-letter word helps to keep us from having to honestly face those most unpleasant parts of ourselves. By loudly proclaiming our social awareness before listing the exceptions that we allow and actually live by, we are often saved from having to face the realities of our authentic selves. What if we eliminated the word but from our vernacular? What if we could be completely honest about our beliefs and attitudes? What if we were comfortable sharing our true and authentic selves without feeling the need to camouflage them with lots of extra words? Instead of saying something like, I would love to attend, but I have other pressing engagements that evening, what if we said, I am reluctant to accept your invitation due to a previous commitment that evening? We eliminated the word but. Totally. Imagine how much simpler it would be when you say what you mean without the redundancy of the word but. It would be much easier to express your authenticity without confusion, and those nearest you will know you. They'll just know you on a much deeper level. Perhaps most importantly, speaking from your own authenticity will alert you to areas which need more attention and self-reflection. Eliminating the word but may reveal to us aspects of ourselves which we had thought were long gone. So the challenge is to work to eliminate the word but from our daily vocabulary. Where necessary, it can be replaced with the word and, or better yet, just eliminate the superfluous phrases along with the connector. You may be amazed at what is revealed by communicating more honestly and accurately. In the tarot, the Devil card, number 15, is all about releasing the attitudes, the beliefs that limit us. This concept of more concise communication fits perfectly with the energy of the Devil card. Releasing the need to bury our feelings and expressions under superfluous words is a healthier way of expressing ourselves. Those with whom we communicate will appreciate the honesty and directness of our communication, and once we manage the elimination of the word but from our vocabulary. Give it a try for a week or a month and see how heart-to-heart communication is improved and enhanced. That's the word but. Let's get rid of it. In the third and final segment of our podcast, we do a 3-card spread for a member of the audience who has sent in a question that they're dealing with. You can address your question if you would like to participate in this portion of the program to the Oracle's Scroll at gmail.com. Send us your comments and your questions, and we'll be happy to help you. So today's question comes from Jennifer. And Jennifer says, I have been seeing 2 men who are both very important to me. And with the passing of holidays and more approaching, I'm feeling compelled to make a choice. How can I be fair to everyone, including myself? My response is as follows. Situations like this can begin quite innocently, and before we know it, we are unable to control what is happening around us. There's bound to be some emotional upset in a situation like yours, and just because you did not intend to create the situation does not reduce the initial shock of it. I drew the following cards on your question: the Knight of Cups, the 7 of Cups, and the 8 of Wands. The Knight of Cups is a powerful card. It's masculine energy, and it calls on us to take bold, fearless action in defense of our emotional attachments and relationships. From your initial question, I understand that each of these men have different strengths and personalities, and you have been enjoying the best of both worlds without ever making a decision about what is most important to you. The Knight of Cups says that you have reached a point where indecision no longer serves your best interests. The second card of the draw, the 7 of Cups, is all about getting to know and understand what it is you are looking for in a long-term relationship. The 7s are creative visualization cards, which ask us to daydream of the outcome, visualize the outcome, visualize where you want to be, how it will feel, and visualize what you most desire. This is a step you've skipped because not making that decision was easier for, let's face it, everyone involved. So the advice of this card is to go back and find your romantic dreams and let them guide you to the correct decision. Now, I saved the 8 of Wands for last because it tells me that you have left out a very important element in your choices. You have 3 individuals from which to choose in this situation: the men involved and yourself. The Wands speak to us of our passions and motivations, the fire that makes us unique. The 8 of Wands is about taking immediate action. In fact, I often think of the 8 as another ace in the deck because it carries a similar energy. What I am getting here is that though your intent was never to create this kind of confused situation, your lack of understanding of who you really are and what is most important to you have let you put off this important decision. Take the time right now to have a meaningful conversation with yourself. Get to know what it is that is most important to you in a relationship and develop that relationship with yourself first before including anyone else. You need to make sure you are definitely one of the choices on the table right now, because you may not be able to keep either of the other 2. But finding yourself and taking bold, fearless action in defense of your own happiness will serve you best in the end. This kind of work can prove to be very challenging, but it's worth every bit of energy that you put into it. I wish you the best, Jennifer. Thank you for joining us for episode 5 of the Oracle Scroll. And we really did enjoy visiting with the Empress today and getting some insight into her motivations. And really, honestly, her motivation is the same as ours should be: compassion and love, and seeing where we need to dispense them. I have a saying that I don't know for sure if I invented it or not. I don't know if I was the first composer, but this is the saying that I have used for myself in a situation when I'm feeling a little unsure of how I should treat other people. And the saying is, "It is not up to me to decide who deserves my compassion." And I find that does answer a lot of questions and assist a lot in situations and challenges that come up in a daily routine. Sometimes we just have to step back and decide how we're going to show our compassion. So once again, thank you for joining us for this episode, and please send us your comments, your remarks, your critiques, or your questions to the Oracle Scroll at gmail.com. We'll look forward to hearing from you, and please spread the word. Tell your neighbors and friends to tune in and listen to our podcast. We are having a great time putting it together for you, and we really hope you're enjoying it too. Thank you. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Oracle Scroll. Find us on Facebook at the Oracle Scroll. If you wish to send comments, suggestions, or requests, please address them to the Oracle Scroll at gmail.com.